All right, today we're diving into one of the most disturbing criminal cases in Pakistan's history, the story of Javed Iqbal. And let me tell you, this is more than just a true crime story. It's a case that ripped the curtain back on some profound societal failures, and it raises questions that honestly are still just as urgent today. It really all starts with this one number, 100. But you have to understand, this isn't just some abstract statistic. This is the number of children, the number of victims whose lives were cut short in the most horrific way imaginable. So who is the man behind this almost unbelievable number? His name was Javed Iqbal, and he lived in Lahore. In 1999, he came forward with a confession that just completely stunned the entire country. He claimed he had abducted, assaulted, and then murdered 100 boys. And these kids were so young, between 6 and 16 years old. What makes this so bone-chilling isn't just the sheer number of victims, it's how he did it. There was a cold, systematic process to his madness. Let's walk through his horrifying method. You see, Iqbal's actions were just chillingly methodical. He had a 4-step process he followed every single time. It started with luring a vulnerable child to his home. From there, it was assault and murder. Then, he would dismember the body. And for the final, gruesome act to get rid of any and all evidence, he would dissolve the remains in vats of acid. So who were these children? Well, he preyed on the most vulnerable kids you can imagine. We're talking about street children, orphans, runaways, boys between 6 and 16 who had absolutely no one looking out for them, no safety net at all. He figured, their disappearances probably wouldn't even be noticed. So you have to be wondering, how did this reign of terror finally come to an end? The answer is just as bizarre as the crimes themselves. It wasn't some brilliant police work that caught him, no. It ended because the killer himself decided it was time for the world to know what he'd done. In December of 1999, a letter shows up at the Lahore police station. In it, Iqbal confesses to everything, all 100 murders. An almost identical letter lands at a major national newspaper. And then in this final, unbelievable move, Javed Iqbal literally just walks into that newspaper's office and turns himself in. A confession like that is one thing, but proving it is something else entirely. So when the police finally went to his home, what they found? Well, it confirmed their absolute worst fears. It was a scene that backed up every single horrifying detail of his story. The evidence they uncovered was just sickening. There were piles of children's clothing, photographs he'd taken of his victims. They found the chains he used. And then they found the smoking gun, 2 massive drums filled with acid and the dissolving remains of his last victims. And get this, they also found a diary where he had methodically chronicled every single murder. With such gruesome, overwhelming evidence, the case went to trial pretty quickly, and it led to a verdict that would go down in Pakistan's legal history. Unsurprisingly, Javed Iqbal was found guilty on all counts, and the court handed down a sentence of death, one for each of his 100 victims. It was a sentence specifically designed to reflect the unbelievable scale of his evil. This quote from the presiding judge really says it all. He remarked that, in a perfect world, the punishment should mirror the crime. Now, the actual legal execution was set to be by hanging, but the message from the court was crystal clear. They wanted the punishment to somehow reflect the sheer horror of what he did. But here's the thing. Javed Iqbal never made it to his execution. The final chapter of his story is completely shrouded in mystery and some really deep controversy. So, less than 2 years after he confessed, on October 8, 2001, Javed Iqbal and an accomplice were both found dead inside their shared cell at a jail in Lahore. And this is where it gets really murky. The official government line was that it was a double suicide, but the postmortem report, it told a totally different story. It showed clear signs of torture and physical violence. This massive contradiction fueled all sorts of suspicions and conspiracy theories that, to this day, have never really been put to rest. So the killer was dead, and the case was, officially closed. But the legacy of what he did, it forced Pakistan to look in the mirror and confront some really uncomfortable truths about its society and the systems that are supposed to protect its most vulnerable people. This case was a brutal, brutal wake-up call. It screamed for stronger child protection laws. It laid bare just how completely the system had failed these kids. And all the while, those nagging questions about how Iqbal really died have just never, ever gone away. So, the Javed Iqbal case isn't just some story from the past. It forces us to ask a really difficult question that's just as important today as it was then. After more than 2 decades, are the most vulnerable children in Pakistan any safer? It's a question with no easy answer, and it's a chilling legacy that continues to haunt.